Sorry. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, beautiful people. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Life with Shenita. I am Shenita Connolly, your host, and I am so excited to have a conversation with one of my high school classmates who is also a sister friend. And I'm excited to share her story of destiny, her journey of a spouse after losing her beloved husband, and where God has taken her after 9 years of being a widow. Destiny. When we think about destiny, the first person that kind of comes to mind, other than our Father God, for those of us who believe in God, I think of Joel Osteen. Because his messages were always centered around destiny and hope, in my opinion. One of the phrases that he would always say, if they left you, you didn't need them. If they walked away, they weren't a part of your destiny. And I truly believe that, because I think if people are a part of your journey, your destiny, they'll be in place for that season, for that time. A quote that I found as I was doing my research, as I always do each week. And this is, and I'm going to try to pronounce his name once I say the quote. But life is all about destiny. Just wait for the perfect time. Quotation mark. Everything will be all right according to your plan. I say according to God's plan. But this gentleman's name was Mirmo Andrew Malik, Mallick. And I thought that was a pretty accurate quote. And so, what is life? Choice or destiny? What is it? Is it a choice or is it a destiny? So when I was doing my research, I found this little piece that says, if you believe in a world of choice, you regard your life as a product of your own decisions. If you believe in destiny, you suspect there are greater forces defining your life's story. And the latter is where I am with my journey and with the journey of my guest speaker tonight, Miss Melissa Hawthorne Nesbitt. And so, without further delay, I am going to bring her in and allow her to introduce herself. And we're going to engage in this conversation this evening. So, first of all, before I bring her in, I want to just thank you guys for joining us for this conversation this evening. And I would be honored if you would like and share tonight's broadcast. Like and share tonight's broadcast. And just thank you to those who have been a supporter of this show since its inception in April of 2020. So I just want to say thank you for supporting and for tuning in, for liking, for sharing. I am hoping to continue to bring relative conversations, whether they're controversial or not, but hopefully they're life-changing in some way, shape, form, or fashion for those who are viewing it, whether today, tomorrow, next month, next year, some years down the road, whatever the case may be. So tonight we're going to talk about life's destiny. So join me in welcoming my guest, Miss Melissa Nesbitt. Good evening.
Hey, Shenita, good evening. So glad to be here. Thank you for bringing me on your show. I'm so excited
Yes.
to have this opportunity to talk with you in the chat.
Yes, I am too. When we think of high school, we think of many, many years ago, 1978 to 1982.
70.
That's a long time ago.
It's long years ago.
Long years ago. But don't we look great?
We look amazing.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. If anybody don't think so, it's okay. We do.
That's their business.
That's their business.
That's their business.
So I am so delighted to have you. And my dear sister friend, Juana D. Days, says those who don't view are truly missing out. And I just love my sister Juana. She has a talk show um, called The Brew. Let's start the brew. So they have, when I tell you the dynamics in their group, I'm going to have them on my show at some point soon, hopefully in the coming months. But I just love them. So they're so authentic, and it's four of them, and they just all kind of blend together. So hopefully you'll get to check them out. Let's start the brew.
I certainly will. I will.
So she said, hi,
my kind of crew.
Yes, keeping it 100.
That part.
So, yes. So before we get started, I know I shared your bio, but I would like for you to introduce yourself to the audience.
I am Melissa Hawthorne Nesbitt. I am the youngest daughter of the late Elmer Hawthorne and Bertha Hawthorne. Grew up in Pensacola, Florida. Educated in the public school system there until I attended Catholic high school, the Mighty Crusaders, where I had the privilege of meeting Shenita and Ophelia, so many amazing women, Stephanie, Helen, Kathy. All these amazing women who have gone on to do great things, and I so admire them, and I admire their life paths because they were all individuals who were confident in who they were, and they were just cool being themselves, nothing to prove, and from 78 up until 2022, they're still that way.
Yes.
So I attended school there. I was a member of the Holy Alternative Church of God in Christ, and worked in ministry as a young person. Married Elder Ronnie Nesbitt Sr. Right after I graduated, I was 18 years old. We got married, and I thank God for that portion of my journey. And my life took a different road. I remember, I'll bring up Stephanie. I remember talking to Stephanie that senior year because she was joining the Army, and everybody was making decisions what they were going to do. And she was joining the Army, and she was like, "You gonna join the Army?" I was like, "Girl, she was a little more athletic than I was. I was like, I don't think I have the perseverance to do that. But in that journey, I found myself experiencing life from a different perspective. As a wife of a pastor, of a minister at that time, of an elder, who was a businessman and who had big visions and big dreams and wanted great things. And I think early on, my dad told me something, and I'm going to share this, and I'm going to stop because I got my timetables as well. As a preacher, we will talk.
Right.
But growing up, my dad used to always say, my mom would tell me, always be able to prepare and take care of yourself. Don't depend on a man to do anything for you. So I married this amazing man who had this dream of, I'm just going to take care of you. We're going to be a family. I'm going to take care of you, and you don't have to do this, that, and the other. And I was like, no, but I need to, I'm for work, and I'm for school, I'm doing my money, whatever. And he did. I recall he was a sales manager and general manager for Lincoln Mercury. So, I'm driving all these huge cars, these big Lincolns, and 19 years old, 20 years old, and selling them, because in his contract was a car from me. So we had this amazing life. And as God called him further in the ministry, we moved back to Jacksonville about 86. And where he started a ministry here. And then I became a first lady. Go figure.
I know, right?
A first lady, and not know what that was. I was just, and my objective was just to be his wife. I told people that, oh, first lady. I'm like, no, I'm his wife. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. I'm here to do whatever. And because we were launching a church, it was a difference than being assigned to a ministry. So he was starting church. So we had people with different walks of faith, different, beliefs, no beliefs, young people, older people, and what have you. And so we were kind of thrust into that lifestyle as well. He was still in the car business. And, we were starting a family. We had the young family coming up. So it was just an amazing journey to learn to deal with people and to deal at a different perspective than I felt that I was really able to do and ready to do. It was having conversations with people about their lives. And I was like, girl, having to hold that little, You know, and inside I'm like, what?
Mhm.
And giving advice and you know, I'm being asked for wisdom. I'm like, do you know how? But I'm just me, and I've always been me. I'm not
Right.
gonna say, but I would, you know, I say what I thought was right to say.
Mhm.
And so that put me in a perspective, and probably right after around 87, 88, I went to work for Senator Arnett Gerardo as a secretary, a legislative secretary, which started my political career. I started working for him because he needed someone to do some things with computers that I could do public relations kind of stuff and marketing, and which was not politically related. But he had some other business ventures,
Right.
and that led to an interesting career in legislative relations and in government relations, where I met a lot of people and I began to understand that there were things that you can do that I didn't know you could do at the time. And that was an eye opener. Just life has been an eye opener for me in every aspect,
Mhm.
because I had no idea that if you were a mother um, on food stamps or you needed assistance with a state agency, you could call your state senator.
Mhm.
I took government, I knew all that, but I'm like, why are these people calling, asking? You know, in my opinion, I was thinking like these are things you can do for yourself. Uh,
Right.
but we were there to cut through the red tape and legislative liaisons and all kind of events. And then I got some a firsthand lesson experience as it relates to legislation and drafting legislation and
Mhm.
writing bills and all the things that I saw on TV. I'm just a bill.
Right.
I'm only a bill. You know, I'm like, oh, and it was state government, and I'm like, this is wow, this is amazing. And of course, in budgeting, you're working
Real
with
life.
you know, and looking at and learning legislative budgeting from the state side and funding
Mhm.
and working for an African American senator who was the second Black elected African American senator in the state of Florida since
Wow.
Reconstruction. So, you know, the historical part about that, and then the kinds of things that they were doing for HBCUs back then, and exchanges for African students coming over to be educated. They had a real passion for helping people with housing and low income housing and
Mhm.
support systems. So it kind of thrust me into, and again, I'm still 23, 24, thrust me into that a whole different world of operation. Um, I'll say this, and I said that my funeral just to capsize, and so I can quit introducing myself. Um, my husband taught me the biggest thing that I'll say that my husband taught me was how to love people,
I can relate. I learned that
how
too.
to really love people.
Agape love.
I liked people, and I learned it from him. I had a strong like and a low tolerance. You didn't know it, you know, and I wasn't faking, but I really liked you. But you know, you do too much. I don't have a tolerance for that comeback thing. He was a lover of people. There was not a person that he did not want to help. There was not a person, I don't care what you did to him, how you acted toward him, how you reacted toward him, how many knives were in his back. He was, hey, so he saw the best in people. I would tell him he was that man that would blow helium in people's head and they believed it. I was the dart thrower, like this is not because you know your head was swell and they would just go on
Right.
like, yes, I can, you know,
Mhm.
and yes, it was encouragement, but
Mhm.
everybody can't handle that kind of encouragement. And but when they came down crashing and then blaming, you know, he was there to like, okay, pick up the piece, let's do it again, you know, and they were, oh, you know, as people are.
Right.
So he taught me how to love people
Mhm.
in spite of myself, in spite of how I feel, in spite of what I see, and most importantly, in spite of what they did.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, so and he did that until his deathbed. He was charismatic. He was dogmatic. He was crazy. You know, I was
Mhm.
like, but he spoke his truth.
Mhm.
Spoke his peace. And when I use that word, I mean he wanted it was going to be right. He wanted it right. It was excellence. You know, he expected excellence. He
Mhm.
saw good in everybody. The thing that I said at his funeral, Shenita, was this: when I ministered at his funeral, I was like, he saw the best in me. He saw the best in everybody.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't care what walk of life. I don't care. He saw the best, and he felt it was his job to get you to see it.
I love
whether
it.
you saw it or not. He was gonna drill in your head, and he was gonna tattoo it on your forehead, and he was gonna put it in your forefront. He was gonna
Until you believed it.
until you believe it. And if you didn't believe it, you was gonna tell him you believe it, so he'll stop telling you that you're the best.
What year was your husband born in? Let me just ask that, if you
My
don't
husband was
mind.
born in 1955.
And mine was born in 53. So they came from that same era.
Yeah.
That's why they were the way they were.
Exactly, and I loved it because
Me too.
he would fill the room when you walked in. You wanted to know who he was.
Yep.
So I gleaned and I learned that, and I became that person. Then we walked in the room. There's some people can walk in the room and just kind of fade in, and then you can walk in the room and people are going, "Now who is that?"
Turn their heads.
Yeah, and again, and not because you're loud and you're
Right.
whatever.
It's your
It's
presence.
just your presence.
Mm-hmm.
It's your presence.
Yeah.
And he had that presence, and I was saying, I'm just in your shadow, child. I'm enjoying
Love
being in your shadow.
Yes.
But we had a wonderful family, 5 children. And ministry expansion, pastor, bishop, elder, overseeing churches and ministry, just a huge journey, and I'm grateful for it. The Lord called him home July 2013. I found myself in a position at 49 years old that I totally did not see myself being in. And I think about a good friend of mine, I think Jackie Kimbrough, from the Hauser Chapel in Pensacola. Her husband, when he was pastoring there, she was like in her 30s, when he passed. And I'm like, at 49, I'm like, I will. Because we believed God. And I trusted God, and we were people of faith, and he was a good person. I remember saying once, I'm like, Lord, it was like so many other people you could have taken.
Why him?
Why him? Why now? We're getting ready to. We've done so much good stuff. Now this is we're gonna still do ministry. We're gonna live. We're gonna do the things that we didn't do, that we said we were going to do. And the Lord, and when the Lord called him, he said yes. And I'll end it with that. And because I was upset. I had to still minister. I had to preach, and I had to carry the service. And I look back, and you may do the same thing. I look back and remembered conversations that we had, and all the little cookie crumbs. I'm like, he was saying, and he was preparing.
He was saying goodbye subtly.
He was preparing in a way.
Mine was preparing me.
That I wasn't listening to, because we had so many close calls, and he had been, at the hospital, and heart attacks, and stents and bypasses, and the whole gamut of everything heart, and it didn't look like anything he had been through. And we had so many close calls that but God was faithful. We're praying, and I'm gonna say this as a pastor. I'm not the name it and claim it, haul it and call it. I believe God. I believe God honors His word. But his honoring his word is not always the way we want it honored.
That's right.
And that was my biggest faith test. People had died around me, and I'm kind of a neutral person when it comes to that. I understand death is a part of life. That's why I appreciate your book. Death is a part of life. We prepare for everything. We prepare our children for everything except dying. We don't prepare to die. As it relates to the life side of dying.
That's it.
And so I found myself in a position going, what checking off my list with God after, in my own moment when I was just to myself, like, okay, we prayed, we believed, we fasted, everybody was fasting, we believe, he believed, people, he had music in his ear, he wasn't listening to this, we were faithful, on Lord, check, I did it all. And and I remember sitting outside of my house in my yard, just screaming. I don't understand why. What happened? What? Why? What? And the Lord said, "It's not about you."
That's exactly what He told me.
I was like, "No, yes." He said yes. To which I said, "Well, he didn't tell. He didn't run that by me first."
Right, and that was between him and I. That's what God said.
I was supposed to be in the conversation. Right. When did y'all talk and I didn't know y'all were having this kind of conversation?
Because our relationship was
chimed in. He said, because he said, I didn't tell you no. I did not answer your prayer. He said yes. And when he says yes, that's it. There's nothing else
Nothing else to be said.
You accept his will and you continue to move on and carry the legacy. And it took it didn't hurt, it settled me. Then I got mad at him for about 30 minutes. I'm like, you said this? Because honestly, I tell my children that if it was in my power, at whatever state, he would still be here right now.
Yeah.
If he had to be attached to something or plugged into something, he'd be right here and I'd be wiping them down and patting them and bathing them down and doing whatever, because that's just who I was. But I recognize when you talk about destiny, and I'm going to quit and let you go on. After caring for my husband, after my husband passed, my mother was living with me. My mother had dementia. She required a lot of my attention. All of my attention, actually, until probably like 2016, when I couldn't care for her, to put her in a facility, in a nursing home facility here in Jacksonville. Shortly thereafter, my dad had glaucoma and he lost his sight to glaucoma. And around 2017, I moved back to Pensacola for a couple of years because he needed help. And that's the only way I could help him. Mom was here, in the facility. My kids were looking out for her. I was there living with him, coming back on the weekends, ministering at the church and what have you. And the Lord said, this is why he said yes, because you still had to do all this stuff. This was still a part of your journey. We had cared for his mom and Mother Nesbitt passed in 2011. But he said, this, you had to do this, and you couldn't do this and that.
Yeah.
And everything else, and still be here. And it's not that, but he took himself out of the way, but the Lord said, no, he was like, my job done. She got it. But now, she can do this. And of course, Mom passed in 2020 and Dad passed last year. So here I am.
I love it. Destiny.
Yes.
A life journey of destiny.
Yes.
And so with that being said, although we have broken ice,
chop it up.
Look, you did say you were a preacher.
Yes.
So we have broken ice, but I want you to share one thing that most people would be surprised to know about you.
One thing that people would be most surprised to know about me is I'm an extroverted introvert.
I can relate.
I love people. I love being around people. I smile. I enjoy it, not as much as I enjoy my solitude. I enjoy, if you follow me on Facebook, I'm at sunrises, sunsets at the beach. I'm a waterhead. I love being around water. I get inspiration from water.
I love it.
And so, I'm sunrises at least 3-4 times a week.
I love it.
Sunsets when I can, because it's something to see the day begin and the order of God. And the rising of the sun, that just the revelation and the changes in the clouds, the change in the water, in the ocean, just as the earth changes as it begins a new day. It's fascinating.
Amazing. Yes.
And that's just solitude. I've got coffee, God, and the atmosphere.
Yeah. I remember we took some students on a college tour in Savannah back in it had to be 2006. And we purposely set the alarms for them to wake up for the sunrise. We wanted them to experience that. We were all so tired, but we wanted those children, those teens, to have that experience on the water. And so be it. Yes, it's beautiful.
It's an amazing experience. And I would say to anyone out there, if you have not seen a sunrise, get up tomorrow morning and get somewhere facing the east and watch the amazement just of the clouds, the sky, of seeing sunrise.
Yes. So tell us more about, I know you've told us quite a bit, but I know there's more about the woman, Melissa Nesbitt.
It's interesting that you said that in our pre-talk, we were talking about it. I like, and I haven't read the entire book. I've read some of the excerpts of the book that Michelle Obama wrote, Becoming. And what I'll say about Melissa Nesbitt, I'm becoming the woman. Because I married early, I was a wife first. So I became a wife immediately. take care of the husband, take care of the kids, you know, trying to be that support, that help, find out how can I can help, what can I do, you know, looking pretty. Now, you know, I'm always gonna look pretty.
Yes.
But you know, but I was being, you know, what you needed. But then I wanted to be what you needed me to be. You know, he was a pastor. I never forget. I went through a phase early on. Like, I guess I need to wear a hat as a first lady.
Yes.
And you know, almost encouraged it. You know, I need to wear a hat, and I had this hat on once. I put it on. The hair wasn't right, and my mother-in-law said, "Oh, you look like an old lady. Take that off." You know, but I was trying to be, and my husband was that person who bought me all my sexy shoes.
I love it. He loves shoes.
He loves shoes, and he loved me. He loved me in shoes. So, and I would go to church. I'm like, I can't wear these. And they weren't. I don't mean, you know, out there, but just very sexy style. Right. And I'm like, I said, I can't wear these. You know, we going to the convention. He was like, yeah, I bought them. Yes, you can. I'm like, okay. So I said, you know, I'm gonna wear them, but I'm just trying not to. I don't want to be a reflection. Right. I don't want to be a negative. I don't want to. You know, I'm young. I don't want to say I'm. You know.
Right. She's far out there.
Jezebel, you know, because I've always worn makeup. Right. I know the Lord saved me with makeup. I don't make myself out of the picture. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't extend nothing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just enhancement. Right. It's always been enhancement for me. So, you know, that was you know, in that day in the church, like, okay, now I'm gonna have my lipstick and my eyeshadow and my blush and everything. But it was trying to be what was appropriate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, and then in the political realm, you know, there's a professional side of me that, you know, has to come across. I'm dealing with legislators and lawmakers and policymakers and governors and leaders and, you know, presidents and then, you know, so that's another phase of, you know, I was being that person, and I'll share one story. I had a situation once where at the end of our legislative session, I did our final budget, passing the budget and signing it out. Was coming home that Saturday, and two of my friends, Opal Jones and Cynthia Allen, lived in Miami. I was in Jacksonville, and after the session, we were out late, 11, 12 o'clock that night. So the next morning, I was leaving, coming home, and my husband had been through the day before and had gone to the mall. He was like, "Hey, go when you leave. I got some stuff on hold. Bring that when you come." I was like, "Okay, no problem." When we went to the mall, and here's how we looked. Saturday morning, everything's over. Opal had on some jeans and a t-shirt. Cynthia had on some shorts and a shirt. I had on a pencil skirt and some heels. This is at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And so they were like, "Where are you going?" I said, "We're gonna go to the mall and I'm going home and we're going home." So we're walking through the mall, and I've been walking in heels since high school. Right. You know, so I have no problem, you know, with my heels on. And at that point, honestly, I think I had my last child. So I was kind of picking up some weight, which I was not embracing. So they were like, "You can't walk around the mall like this." I'm like, "Yes, I can." And so we're walking. And so they were like, "You know what?" And this was my first experience in a W store. Right. I think it was like not a lane brand, but a W store. Opal said, "Well, come here." She said, you can't walk around with us like this." I said, "Well, I'm not gonna be here long, you know, I'm going home." And so I walked in, I think it was Lane Bryant at one of the women's stores, and she said, "You need to get you some jeans. You put on you too." The Saturday, you know, it's Saturday. Yeah. I said, "I know." So I walked in, and I was upset because I was ready to go to Casual Corner, and I couldn't fit Casual Corner. And so she said, "Look, you need a 14, but just get a 14 in these. It's gonna get you some more room." I'm like, "Girl, I ain't no women's clothes, right? Women's size." Walked in, fit the jeans, look good, fit fine, and found a shirt. Changed in the dressing room, bought the jeans, went on out, went across the street, got some tennis shoes. I went to bebopping around, a whole different me. Countless change. Everything about me changed. Bebopping all around the mall until 6:30. Get out. All the malls and stuff. And my husband called, "Where are you?" Because I should have been home. Right. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm out here with Open. I got your stuff. Now I'm on my way home." I got home, and we had words. I'm just keep it 100.
Mm-hmm.
You should have been home by 9. Blah, 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 blah. So I drove home from Tallahassee. I probably about an hour and 30 minutes. That's a 2.5 hour drive. And I argued. My side, I said what he was gonna say and whatever. And when I got home, I remember didn't have a key to my house.
Stop it.
Didn't have a key to my house. So I'm having to ring the doorbell, and I got all these bags, and I'm standing there with my jeans on and my t-shirt, my hair. I was cute, but I was ready for this entanglement we were gonna have. And he let me wait a minute before he opened the door, and I was like, here, here your stuff.
Right.
And walked in, and he was like, okay. And I walked in and it was in townhouse, and I walked downstairs to where our room was. And I stood up and put my hands on my hip because he was sitting on the bed, like,
I'm ready. What?
I'm ready. And he said, I'm so sorry. I said, what? He said, I'm so sorry. You look good. You look totally different. There's something different about you. That's the girl I married.
A gentleman.
I had been trying to become so much that I was not
authentically
me, and the me that attracted him.
Mm-hmm.
He liked everything in my professional side, my church side, my mom's side, but he was like, that's her.
Relax and be.
Just be.
See, I'm a casual girl.
Well,
give me some tissues and no makeup. And I'm good. So as we talk about this destined life, mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? When you think about living a life of destiny.
Living a life of destiny as a pastor is living living up to your God-ordained purpose. Mm-hmm. And finding that through your path of life. There's a quote that says, does the walker choose the path or the path choose the walker? Mm-hmm. And living a destined life is following the path.
And sometimes we get off the path that God has.
When we try to choose a path, mm-hmm. It's not always the destined path. And God has a funny way of letting us go all around and come right back to that place where he wants us to be, mm-hmm. and doing that which he wants us to do. Whether we
free will, right?
We go left, and that free will thing. But when we submit and surrender to the will of God, and surrender to the plan of God, and to whatever that is to you, that higher being, that higher power, that thing that's not yourself, that says, not what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe you should have goals. I believe you should have a plan for life, but don't be so stuck on the plan that when the plan changes.
Yes. When the planter's plan
the planner's change comes into fruition. That when life, I'll say, when life happens, mm-hmm. that mm-hmm. you can't make an adjustment, mm-hmm. and recognize that adjustment is a part of your life plan. I don't believe that anything happens in our life by accidental. Everything is a plan of God. Everything is a timing of God. Everything's the will of God. Now you can submit to it, mm-hmm. or rebel against it. But guess what? It's still gonna happen.
It's still gonna happen at some point on the journey.
On the journey. So walking the destined journey is learning to embrace the steps every day. All mm-hmm. we get is one day. Yep. All we have is today. I know we have anticipation and expectation for, everything, but all we have is today.
Yep. And I always say, because my husband passed as he laid down next to me to say goodnight, when he turned his head to me like this to say goodnight and I love you, collapsed. I say we only have the next moment.
True. And you're right.
Because things can happen that quick. And I saw it.
In an instant. Your life can change for good or for bad.
In an instant.
In an instant.
Yeah. So how do you see yourself different, from what other people see? Like when people see you, they see who? And then when you see you see who when you think about that in the scheme of things?
I'm pretty much what they say. I'm pretty much a take it or leave it. I am that I am. I say to people, I am that I am like I am. I will pray for you in some shorts at the beach just as fast as I will at the altar at the church.
With those sexy heels on.
With my heels on. And I love having some heels at the beach. But I am that I am like I am. When you see me, you see me. I haven't learned how to, I'll flow in every aspect, but I'm me in every aspect of the flow.
Me too.
The dressed up me, the suited up me, the pastor me, the just sit back, relax back me, the I'm gonna sit in here and turn on Ozark and watch and binge it. Me, it's just me. So I hope, I pray that people learn that that's just who I am. I can be off the cuff, and I try to.
I know I can be.
Lord, right on my tongue, don't stuff out my mouth to sin. Yes. But to not be, I'm taming down the reactive me now, because before I had a buffer. One of my members said, she said, Pastor Hansi Richardson, she passed several years ago. She said, Bishop he's like awesome. He just make us think we can do anything. And you practical. You're going to tell us, yeah, you can do it, but you need to do this, but this, that, and other. She said, and y'all are like a great team because you don't tear us, you don't tear it down, but you're like, okay, but on your way up, make sure you.
Faith without works is dead. So we need to put the work behind it.
You got y'all believing. I'm going to put the works with your belief, and you're going to be a whole person. But I hope that people see my heart, because I am who I am at my heart. I love people. I want to help people. There's not any situation that if I can, I will. If I'm able, I will. If I'm unable, I will find a way. And I think my life's path, even with my employment, has been that, because it was, the majority of it was helping people.
Yeah. I think that was etched in us. If you think about it, it was etched in us growing up. I'm not going to say just through education, but through our families. And so our families, our parents were helpers, they cared about people. And so we care for people from a genuine place.
Betterment, correctly. Right. No strings attached, nothing. Just because I want to see you succeed.
You better say it. I just had that conversation with someone this morning. I just wanted them to know I care. Caring for you doesn't require any strings attached. It is simply, I care about you. And I think sometimes people have been disappointed and hurt so often that when people like us come along and we are able to convey that,
they don't know how to take it.
They don't know how to take it, and
they don't feel it's authentic. They're not accustomed to that.
Like you're full of it.
Yeah. And actually, I'm just full of. I want to see you. I like seeing people succeed, and anything that I can do to help that, I facilitate that in my power and in my ability or my reach or my grasp. I'm going to do it.
Exactly. I love it. So if you had, let me ask you this way. What is true about you today that your 7-year-old self would cry about?
I read that when you sent me that question. Girl, I don't remember my 7-year-old self. I'm sorry.
What would your younger self say?
I have no idea. My younger self was in such a hurry to get older. So what my younger self be like, I should have slowed down.
Right. You and me both. Because we got married right out of high school, just kind of the same.
Because I had an older sister. My sister was 5 years older. So and because I was the youngest, she had to take me along. It was that kind of situation. Melissa got to go with you. My mom kind of made, well, Melissa, you going with Melissa going. Not on dates, but she was in the band, and Melissa got to go because I couldn't stay home by myself. Right. So a lot of her friends and her associates, I was their little sister. So a lot of my friends were older. I won't say my friends, but people I associated with were older. So, but my 7-year-old self would just say, just take it a day at a time.
Yes.
Because I found myself trying to turn back, like, let me roll back.
Yes.
Roll back. Bills are real.
Yes, indeed. Sit your little Elf down somewhere.
Exactly. But yeah,
Yes.
it was just say, yeah, you're doing good, but
How would you want to be remembered if when you think about legacy, when you think about leaving here, you have grandchildren, you have children. How would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the person who impacted every life that she touched in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I made an indelible mark in the lives of every person I touched.
Yes.
Some kind of way. Be it a smile, a listen,
A
prayer,
joke.
a joke, just being there, a help. But that song, the hymn, that song, I don't know if it's a hymn or not, it says, if I can help somebody as I travel along life's way, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain.
Not being vain.
I believe as it relates to ministry, I want to do great things. I've got a vision for a city of praise, which was our vision before, with helping people, economic transition house for women and children who are in that jam that need a place to go that's not temporary, but that would get them on the beaten path, getting them back on in mainstream living. But most importantly, that I impacted every life of every person that I touched, that I spoke to, that I talked with positively.
Yes.
That's enough.
I can so feel that. And I actually have a colleague here in Atlanta that has a transitional housing program for teen moms that I need to introduce you to.
Absolutely.
So I'll connect you guys.
Thank you.
Yes. Call, because for me, I am a networker.
Absolutely.
And I am a resource. And so I get so many calls and messages and all the time.
It's all about connection. It's all about connection. As I tell people, even in ministry, we're not in competition. We're in connection. We're all trying to do the same thing.
That's it. And so if there's something I know, I'm going to connect the dots. I call it a human connector. That's just what God has given me, that gift. And I use it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So with that, we've talked about a little bit about your journey with your husband. If you had to speak to a widow today that's watching this show today, tomorrow, next year, and you wanted to help them be able to move along their journey of destiny, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, move forward, one day at a time. One of the things that my husband said, and we coined it from another pastor, at death, your contract is ended. You did everything, you served everything, you served out your contract. And hopefully your contract, you had a good ride. Appreciate the ride, learn from the ride, embrace the ride. But you have to live on. You're still alive, and you have to live on. And living is every day is letting go of the past. I minister. There's nothing you can go back yesterday and do in that time. It's gone. All you have is today. Now, what you bring forward, good or bad, is what you brought forward. It's not what was created in the day. So I would say, yes, you had a wonderful life. You had an amazing marriage, and you fulfilled your contract.
And even the ones who didn't have an amazing
life, but you fulfilled your contract. You fulfilled your contract, male or female. You fulfilled your contract, and there's life. However you want to live it. There are no rules. There's no boundary. There's no, people say, you need to wait, 6 years or 7 years, so make sure you get over and you stop grieving or whatever. There's no timetable to life, because you may not have 6 years.
That's right.
And if an opportunity for love comes your way, and you've got one life to live,
embrace
So I'll say embrace it. And I say that from an open heart and an open mind. Embrace it because it's your choice to follow that path. That may be the next step in your destined plan, in your destined path for your life. Because again, everything is God ordered and God ordained. I'm not that person that subscribes to the mindset, you know what, I'm just used to being married. I just gotta be married. No, it's not a matter of being used to being married because it just depends. You just used to not being able to do what you want to do and go where
Right.
you want to go. If all of it. But I understand it. But in that concept of I just need to be married. I don't just need to be married, but I've learned that I still have a life to live, and I've enjoyed that journey, living it with someone of like fashion. And it's not a matter of being lonely or alone, but I would love to have someone to share,
A companion.
a companion to share this part of the journey because there's still I still have life.
You have a lot of life.
I still got long life, and I'm still alive, and I still want to enjoy living, enjoy life. Death is like divorce.
It is.
The difference is you don't have an opportunity for reconciliation.
Yes. How about today? I was talking with a colleague who had a child with a man 33 years ago. They went their separate ways. The child had cancer in 2018. They reconnected to care for the daughter and he realized he loved her. They just got married in December of last year.
Yay.
And
God has
it's
a
amazing
plan
when you
and
see exactly.
God has a plan and a time, and people go, "Oh, we wasted so much time." You wasted no time. You had to live out. Each of them had to live out
Their
that
destiny.
aspect of life and walk their roads and have their experiences that made them equipped and
Come back.
ready for each
Yes.
other at this time in life. And God allowed what would be a tragedy
To be
to
beautiful.
allow to be a blessing for
Yes.
them for this stage of their journey. So
And
absolutely, I would say
yeah,
live your life.
yes, live your life. Because many times men and women who lose spouses who had and I'm not going to say always, but who had a very substantive marriage or solid marriage, it tears you down to your core.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. We are still living. Either we live or we die, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're going to live, then that means we have to be open for love, love and life. And so I love the male companionship. I just do. I always have. I love the interaction. I love it. And so, it probably was my husband passed in 2015. It probably was 9 months later that someone introduced me to a widower, and I had my first date in 2016. But, I was open to meet him. We're still friends today.
Absolutely.
But, if I had been just closed, and it took me a minute, but it was great because I missed that.
Exactly. And we're here to be connected. We're to be connected. And the only reason that we isolate is because we isolate ourselves.
Yes.
We isolate ourselves and we try to stay connected to what is no longer. What's just not there. And it's an individual decision. I'm not saying that philosophy is for everybody, but I'm simply saying be open to live, open to experiencing life, open to living life, open to sharing, open to love again, because your contract is ended. And as I said, if I could have, he would be healed in some form, probably totally healed and delivered. Yay. But it would have been a journey for me and him. And but he's not.
He's not here.
He's not. And I love my children. And I told them, I've got 5 children. My oldest should be 40 this year.
Right. Mine will be 40 next February. So we're around
40 in September.
Yes.
Ravonda Nesbitt. I hope she watches. My 40-year-old. But they're from 40 to 35. So they were all, and they're at an amazing year. They all have husbands and children and families, and they love me because our family is is such a close knit, and we've been always such a close knit circle. And so that, and their dad was like, y'all do what I did for my mother. Y'all take care of your mom and make sure.
Right.
From children, they were ingrained that. And so I told them, I said, listen, you guys have families, and of course they're all what I call relative to us late bloomers. They're just not having babies. 30 years.
I love it.
And my oldest grand she'll be 10 Sunday. And the youngest, well, I've got one in the oven now.
Congratulations.
The youngest is a year old. Jamie, she's a year old. So they're like 36, but they live their lives. I said, y'all did different. I said, y'all were going like middle school for with me at this point, getting ready to graduate high school. And I'm enjoying them, and I'm young enough. And one thing that I miss is my husband presence not being here for these grandbabies.
Right.
Because we would always talk. I'm like, you know what? We've taken care of everybody. We took care of these kids. It's time for us. He's like, no, we have grandbabies. I'm gonna have them here, and I'm not taking care of nobody's children. But I'm still not doing that. Let me say that just in case they're listening. But I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy their families. But I told them, I said, you guys live your lives. I'm well. I'm fine. I know if I need you, you'll be there without fail. Pimp down, everybody's circling around. I said, but I don't need you now. I thank God for youth. I thank God for life. I thank God.
Let me live mine.
Enjoy you, but I'm good. They're all in ministry. They're all pastors. They work with me in ministry and whatever. But at the same time, I respect their individuality. I'm like, live yours. I don't want you to live. I don't need to live mine through you. And they're all, Mom, you want to come with us? No, I don't want to come with you. Well, Mom, you want? No, I don't want to go with you. No.
I'm good.
And we enjoy each other. We enjoy being together. But I give them that respect.
Me too.
As in their own families with their children. I said, y'all got husbands. Go and get your husband.
Right.
Enjoy your life. Enjoy your wives. Enjoy your family. I enjoy my grandchildren when I see them. Love them. I love them too. Now they all go home.
Unfortunately, I have one stuck to me, but I know we're having a ball and we're getting closer to the hour. It never is enough time. I mean, like never is enough time. But I want you to share your ministry information. I don't have it to put on the screen.
I'm sorry.
But I want you to
click in.
Okay. So tell them while I kind of
figure out what I'm doing.
So tell them about the ministry.
The Heart of Jacksonville Institutional Church is an institutional ministry in Jacksonville, Florida, for about 30 years. Right now, we're in transition physically, moving to another building. But our ministry can be found on Facebook, The Heart Church. And my personal Facebook, which I put on there for you, is Milessa Nesbitt. We're revamping our website right now, which will be Nesbitt Cathedral. But we're a ministry that provides help and healing for families and for and empowerment for individuals who need to understand the true plan of God for their life. Yes, salvation is the principle, it's the foundation. But Jesus said, I came that you may have life and have life more abundantly. And most of us don't understand living the abundant life, not the call it, whatever. But when we live a life that's pleasing to God, and it's according to his plan and his will for our life, we also have the privilege and the benefit of living in the blessing of that obedience. We declare Deuteronomy 28 in our church every Sunday, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that all these blessings will come on you and overtake you if you hearken. So you're blessing the city, blessing the field, your basket, your family, everything about your life is designed to be lived with excellence and lived in abundance. When you have the mind of Christ, the heart of Christ, and you're living that purpose, you're open to not only to living, but giving, because your giving determines your living. You're giving to support kingdom. You're giving in community. You're giving of your gifts and your talents, of everything that God gave you. The Bible is all about giving. Everything is surrounding giving, and the Bible, and it says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and even running over, shall God cause men to give to your bosom. For with the same measure you meet, it says, it will be measured withal back to you. So how you give and the perspective of what you give is a part of your attaining and receiving the blessings of God in your life. 3 John 2 says, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health as your soul prospers. So, we also I have a 90-day challenge page that's on with ours. That's constantly every 90 days that talks about revitalizing our health, our mind, our body, our spirit, our vision, our plan. And every day is a start over.
Yes, it is.
February the 3rd, I see you're doing your journey to wholeness and healing and health. Every day is a new day, is a new start. You said, well, I didn't do it yesterday. Fine, wake up tomorrow. You got a new day. Wipe the slate clean, forget what you didn't do, and start today. And that's the bedrock and the foundation of our ministry. It's getting people to understand that the righteousness of God is available through him to them, through the acceptance of his word and walking in it. The word works if you work it.
Yes, it does. I like that. The word works if you work it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that. You just preached right there. You know that, right?
I told I'm gonna be kind. I didn't say, huh? Woo!
Bishop Nesbitt, Pastor Nesbitt. Yes, you always had that fire in you. Yes, indeed. They ain't seen nothing yet until they come to the heart of Jacksonville.
2022, they haven't seen anything.
They ain't seen nothing yet. They ain't seen nothing yet. I love it. I love it. And if there is anything else that you want to share with the audience before we close, any parting words about destiny, journey, anything that you feel led to say, you have the opportunity to do so.
I just want to say, Ecclesiastes says that to everything there's a time and there's a season. There's a purpose to everything that's under the sun. There's a purpose for your life. There are a lot of books written out on it, and every author has their opinion on what you should do. But the foundation is in the Word of God. And I challenge you to study, get you a good Bible, turn to an index, a concordance, and find what you need. Everything you need is in the Word of God. That will empower you, that will equip you, that will give you the courage that you need to stand in the will of God. Develop your relationship with God, a prayer life. Pray. I don't know what to pray. The Lord's Prayer. Period. I'm in a season right now for our church. The Lord, I just did my new journal for our ministry for this year, and the journal this year is overflow. This is a year of overflow, and it's restoration, renewal, and revival. And this is a year of overflow. And God gave me the scripture, the 23rd Psalms. I said it's just a familiar passage of scripture that we think is an elementary scripture, but the Lord is my shepherd.
Yes, he is.
I shall not want. And down further it says he anoints my head with oil and my cup runs over. And this is that time where we trust the truth of God's word. He's your shepherd. He's leading and guiding you, and all you got to do is walk in those steps. It's not easy, but our prayer is, Lord, not my will,
but yours.
Your will be done. And let me submit to your will. It's not easy.
No, it isn't.
Because he put us in flesh, and he gave us a mind. And I said something I saw on TV the other day, that the heart can survive on its own, and the mind can survive. The mind sends waves to every other organ in your body but your heart. The heart can thrive on its own, and the brain can thrive on its own. But walking in the spirit puts the brain and the heart in sync for one purpose. And when we submit, our minds are transformed by the renewing. Let our minds be transformed by the renewing of the word of knowledge in our hearts. It will cause you to be aligned. My mind and my heart.
Yes.
My thoughts and my desires are in the same way, and that is to be pleasing to God and to be a light in this world. So I challenge you to walk your destiny, walk the path that you're in. You know,
Mhm.
some of it we think we made bad choices. Walk it out.
That's
Walk
right.
it out in faith, knowing that God is carrying you through that wilderness. He's carrying you up that side of the mountain. But
Ooh-wee.
there is purpose in everything that we go through.
Yes. Yes.
Find that purpose.
Mhm.
Embrace it. Tell him thank you for it. Get the lesson for it and turn that corner and move on.
Yes. I love it. Thank you. That blessed my soul.
Thank
And I'm sure it blessed those who are watching today, tomorrow, next week, next year. It blessed their souls too. So thank you for following your destiny. Thank you for being on your path on this life journey and continuing to be a light, because you certainly are. I thank you for being here with me tonight, and you hold tight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I
Yes,
appreciate it. I love you. I love
I
you to
love
life.
you too. And this was so good. So hold tight. Thank you. So I hope you all enjoyed that conversation about destiny on this journey called life. Um, Bishop Nesbitt, Pastor Nesbitt, certainly spoke life to us. And so I hope that you guys will definitely follow her, the Heart of Jacksonville Church, or Melissa Nesbitt on Facebook. Both of those you can reach out there. So please, please, please stay connected with her, and please live out your journey, your destiny. And thank you so much for watching this evening. Thank you for sharing. Again, please tune in next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will have a conversation with Boyd Brown III, a foodie, a chef out of the DMV, the Maryland area. I am so excited to have him as a guest next week to share his journey to where him and his wife and his boys are today. So that's exciting. So thank you all again. Remember, I love you, but God loves you most. He loves you best. Peace, love, joy today and always. Again, thank you for watching, and you guys take care.